All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a quick video on another case that just popped up about an hour ago on Law and Crime Channel, I do believe it is, of a mother teacher that SA'd her 5-year-old daughter and filmed it and would show it to her boyfriend. I think her name was Mrs. Jones or something. Let's take a look at this video. This world has gone completely to a whole nother level. Completely nuts.
Her boyfriend, and a young child. And the court documents that we just got here at Law and Crime, they are beyond disturbing. Police say a now former substitute teacher, her name is 30-year-old Madison Paige Jones, confessed to sexually assaulting her own 5-year-old daughter. But I just want you to wait until you hear her alleged sick reasoning and how her boyfriend, a man named 37-year-old Zachary Donlinger, factors into all of this, according to law enforcement. Now, you have likely seen the headlines on this story, but the actual police documents that we have and the details inside those documents, they go beyond what has been reported thus far. According to sworn affidavits, this was not a one-time event. Police say the abuse occurred, quote, on multiple occasions over the past several weeks. But here's the part that really grabbed our attention. The affidavit includes a Snapchat message from the boyfriend that police say proves exactly what he was doing with those videos. And the quote from him, it's chilling. We have it straight from the warrant. He writes, quote, he wished to sexually assault Madison's daughter while Madison watched. And that was not the only message. According to police, in a custodial interview, Madison allegedly showed them another Snapchat message from Zachary where he stated that he was pleasuring himself to an image of Madison and her daughter. And that is just one piece of this nightmare. And now both are behind bars. They're facing felonies, including aggravated sexual assault of a child and possession of child pornography. Now, here's what this case is really about based on the police narrative and the court records. We're going to go to December 17th, 2025 now. Midlothian, Texas. The police department there were called to a home on Ashbury Drive. There's a friend of the suspect, Madison Jones, who told officers that she was worried about Madison's boyfriend, Zachary Donlinger, and she believed that he was making sexual advances on Madison's 5-year-old daughter. Now, officers spoke to Madison right then and there, and according to the affidavit, she confessed on the spot. And she told police that over the past several weeks, she had sexually assaulted her own daughter multiple times and filmed it because Zachary told her to. She even allegedly described taking explicit photos and videos that were then reportedly sent to Zachary on Snapchat. Police arrested Madison immediately. They seized her iPhone. Police also forensically interviewed the 5-year-old, and we'll have more on what she reportedly told them in a minute. On December 23rd, police tracked down Zachary Donlinger in Loving County, Texas, and they arrested him, and they took 2 iPhones as evidence. They say both of them were his. And now Zachary and Madison Jones are both in the Ellis County Jail. Madison Jones is charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child, indecency with a child, and possession of more than 500 child pornography images.
It was her own daughter. Are these people nuts? It was her own daughter. I can see her sending naked photos of herself, right? You know, that old song, Hoo Coo Choo, Mrs. Jones, or whatever it is. But her 5-year-old, what is wrong with this world? Demonic? Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's demonic. Oh, here comes Vincent. What's going on in chat? Ooh, Debbie had already take out 2 people. What's wrong? Are they all upset because I'm sure? Is that Kevin? Look at that photo. Looks like Kevin, Ernie's boyfriend. Man, woman, I think they call him or something. I'm not sure, but I don't know, behave yourself, folks. But can you believe this? Can you believe this? This can't be true, right? This is made up. No woman would really do this to their own daughter, would they? For her boyfriend, because her boyfriend told her to? Are you kidding me? Come on, folks. Really?
Her bond is now set at $90,000, so less than $100,000 for a case as disturbing as this one. Now, Zachary Donlinger is charged with sexual performance by a child, which is a first-degree felony, and his bond was set at $250,000. No matter what someone does for a job, these type of allegations would be incredibly shocking.
Is this their job? All right, let me see what's going on. Listen, I took a shower last night. I'm getting ready to jump in the shower after I'm done with this. Yes, I changed my underwear. What is wrong with you people? I might have to gas this whole country. You know that, but yeah, Oval Office and Trump, everyone's a con. Whatever, you know. No, you're not. Yeah, yeah. It's just gone way too far. It's just sick, sick. But what kind of what? Are you telling me this is what America's become? Where these people are doing this to their children for money? Are you kidding me? This is crazy.
And disturbing. But Madison was a substitute teacher for the Midlothian Independent School District. So this was someone who was around kids, who professionally was around kids. The school district says that she's no longer employed. I want to dive into the affidavit now. And the warrant begins by establishing that on December 17th, officers were dispatched to a sexual assault report, and the friend expressed concerns about Zachary's behavior towards the 5-year-old. But the affidavit reveals what happened when police talked to Madison. The officer writes, quote, "She ultimately confessed to sexually assaulting her 5-year-old daughter and filming it to satisfy the sexual fantasies of Zachary," end quote. Now, the document details the allegations of abuse, and it states, quote, "Madison stated that on multiple occasions over the past several weeks, she performed an obscene sexual act on her daughter and allegedly did various other incredibly disturbing things to her daughter's body." Now, about those videos and photos that law enforcement say that they have, this resulted in her producing and sending approximately 4 videos and 2 pictures to Zachary via Snapchat, according to law enforcement. Then the forensic interview with the 5-year-old victim. According to the affidavit, quote, "The juvenile advised that when she was in the shower or bath, her mother was often using her phone to speak to Zachary. She also advised that she was forced to take nude photos with her mother, who was also nude." Now, here is the evidence that police say ties Zachary directly to what they're accusing Madison of, and to this scheme that apparently these two put together, according to law enforcement, this fantasy scheme, which is just, it's difficult to even say right now. I mean, it's just incredibly sick. And when detectives then searched Madison's phone, they found a Snapchat message from Zachary. And the affidavit reads, quote, "A message on her Snapchat was located where Zachary stated that he wished to sexually assault Madison's daughter while Madison watched." The affidavit states that this confirmed Madison's story, that Zachary was having sexual fantasies about this young child. And now both suspects remain in jail as this investigation continues. Join us.
That dude is sick. Completely sick. Now, if it was a 60-year-old hot mom and her 40-year-old daughter, that would be a different thing. But this is an adult woman and a 5-year-old girl. I don't think there's any other option in the United States. Congress, Senate, Pentagon, Oval Office, and all the other branches that you people have no idea exist. or never will. I think that we're running out of options here. This is just crazy.
This now is Chris Klotz, sexual abuse litigation attorney. Always great to have you on Law and Crime, especially with stories. I mean, it's hard to know where to begin on this one. I mean, we've talked about some very difficult cases in the past, but this one just, it seems like it's hard to compare to anything. I mean, just for you, and you're in, a line of work where you see a lot of tough things. Like, what stood out to you?
So there's a couple things about this case, and Chris, thank you for having me. Always glad to be here. The couple of things that really stand out with me about this particular case are two things. Number one, that you have a mother who has somehow been, influenced to completely ignore her mothering skills and put her child in harm's way, and abuse her child. So that's always a huge shock.
This is a beautiful woman. Why would she have to do something like this? I don't understand what is wrong with this world. Why would she even do something like that for this guy? I mean, like I said, I can see her getting naughty and sending the guy photos. Perfectly legit. Right? Perfectly legit. No crime committed. They're both adults. They do what they want. But the child, this has gone too far. I know, Debbie, I know.
Shocker for me when maternal instinct does not kick in for some reason to protect children, because this is a 5-year-old child, according to the allegations. The second thing is where you have a grown man who is interested in somebody who is just barely out of their infancy and only a little bit into their toddlerhood. And so, those are the two big things that concern me about this case, is that a mom has actually participated in sexual abuse of her own child, to please or somehow satisfy, a boyfriend that she's got. This is just a really, really disturbing case, probably on the scale of offensiveness. These cases are all offensive, but it is way up there in the level of depravity.
According to the documents that we've read through, Madison Page Jones, 30 years old, when a friend goes to police and then police start investigating, it appears she confessed relatively quickly, according to these court documents. But then she starts to say, well, I did it because of him. How does that, a defendant taking that approach in a case like this, where they are saying that they are guilty of doing the act, but it was someone else that told me to do it or forced me to do it, how does that impact the proceedings?
Yeah, so here's what that looks like to me. They did a search warrant. As a matter of fact, I've reviewed a couple of different search warrants in this particular case, and they seized some phones. Looks like they seized 2 phones from Zachary, the boyfriend, and at least one other phone from another source. And if they have phones with the evidence on it, there's not that much you can do to defend a case like this. Now, I'm quite sure that she probably immediately and appropriately either had an appointed lawyer come in. It's appropriate for a court to appoint an attorney if she couldn't afford one, or hired an attorney. And so defense attorneys, when they work these kind of cases up, from the defense standpoint, know that if the evidence is there strongly and there's almost nothing that you can do to defend yourself for the conduct, which in this instance, there's no defense to this, right? They're going to say, what can I do to minimize the consequences for my client? And so I would imagine that she's probably had an attorney counsel her to cooperate and to maybe provide evidence against her boyfriend in some types of hope of mitigating her participation and mitigating her role. And if she said that she was forced for some reason, or if she was coerced for some reason, that is probably in some type of hope that a criminal sentence would be minimized.
For prosecutors, because of the cell phone evidence, which
all right, so she's saying she was forced to do this. Do you believe that, Debbie? Does anybody out there believe that she was forced to do it? I could see maybe the first time, but 500 times, right? You don't know. Do you know the numbers 911, Mrs. Jones? You might want to have called them. Hey, I think I made a mistake. This guy, I showed him my body a couple times and everything. And then, well, he started wanting me to show my daughter and me naked and everything. I would have drew the line there. You know, Debbie, what do you think? You think that, or was that her excuse to try and get out of this? He forced me. He was going to beat me. No, I don't know. Probably there had to be money somewhere in there. There always is. I wouldn't doubt if they were doing this crap and then making money off of it, downloading it or something. Else.
Seems incredibly damning. She said that there were videos that were sent on Snapchat, and then there's some text messages as well. So it seems like prosecutors, whether or not they had her cooperation, would have a strong case. In situations like this, where you have a defendant who is saying, well, I'll help you get this person into jail. I'm going to be the first one to try and run and take a deal. But then if you're a prosecutor, do you really need her to build your case, especially if you have the cell phone and she's the one who, according to police, allegedly did it?
In this kind of case, the prosecutors probably don't need her if the evidence is on his phone or on her phone having been sent to him. And you'll notice that some of the charges, as I was looking through the list of charges, it's been publicized. I believe that he was charged, or one of them was charged with having over 500 images of CSAM, which is child sex assault material, or sometimes called child porn. And so there were if there are in fact over 500 images, are they of this one child? Are they of other children? Are they of other inappropriate, images that have come off the internet? Or is it other children that have been affected in this community or by this woman? As some of the newspaper articles note that
Oh, yeah, you're right about that, Miss Fox. Oh, yeah. Why she didn't, I have no idea. We'll have to watch a little bit more of this video and see if she was doing it for money or just to do it for free. That's just unreal.
she is a substitute teacher and had taught 4 times over the last 12 months in the school district where she was. In the school district, from what I have seen in the press, is that she taught in the school, and the school district has actually sent letters out to the parents. And I'm suspecting that the letter is of the nature of, although I haven't seen it, I suspect the nature of the letter is, hey, we have a substitute teacher who has had these charges. Have you heard anything, or do a check-in with your children just to make sure that there's no issues? Because I'm going to imagine 500 images is a fairly high number of images, and I would be surprised if it's only images of this particular child. That's speculation on my part, just based on my experience of having done this kind of work for almost 30 years.
Well, and I want to talk about some of the civil proceedings that could play out.
Well, I would say that's probably a good guess, right? Was she videotaping when she was at school? The kids at school are doing this is crazy. And you people, come down on me because I want some of my alien ships flying around, my drones, and unmanned vehicles in our schools to protect our children, so they can learn, because this country is at its all-time low of knowledge compared to other countries. We used to be the best technology, not no more. And that's because our kids can't go to school without being shot, raped, pillaged, used, whatever. And you people come down on me because I want to go ahead and put in a security system to protect our children. I can't believe you thought. And now I know why. I'm getting so much backlash in this country for wanting to protect the children at schools and on the streets and in the playgrounds with drones, cameras, unmanned drones. Yeah, I just can't believe it. It's just unbelievable. Miss Fox, you have anything you want to say? Miss Fox has already said bull crap. I don't want to swear, but you know what I'm talking about. She said nope, and she would have called the police as soon as the guy started asking to see nudes of her kid. I agree. What a man and a woman do behind closed doors or on their phone private is their business. But when this dude started asking for kitty photo, yeah, and it's just sickening. It's just sickening.
In a bit. But when it comes also just on the criminal side, because I think of like you have two people who have been arrested, and one of them, this mom, is just accused of the unthinkable and apparently has confessed to it. And if you're a prosecutor, like how do you go through? Because it's just impossible to compare of like who's the worst defendant in this case. They're both awful, according if all of this is true. Yes, she may have said she was coerced. Maybe it was a toxic relationship, like all of that. She's still the one who says that she did it. Like, if you're a prosecutor, like, what is the meeting like where you're putting kind of the pictures up on the board and you're saying, like, okay, this is the person we're really going to go hard for, or this person? Like, how do you kind of manage how it goes through with these two cases that these two people are accused of? Because it's just like, I'm even like, feel like I'm like running on with my words because it's just so hard to comprehend this story.
Yeah. I mean, in this kind of situation, I can't say that I can't say who's the worst actor, to tell you the truth, because all it took for her was one call to the police department saying, my boyfriend is asking me to do this. They could set up a sting operation where he is, where there's a controlled environment, and the police could have observed him attempting to get her to sexually abuse her own child, and it would have been case over. Right. But instead she goes along with it and doesn't protect her child at all. I don't see a less culpable actor between the two of them in this case at all.
When you look on the civil side, and we've seen cases involving teachers or whoever it may be, and you could have,
I think he set her up, meaning there's a good chance that she was doing this just to do it. Maybe he was leaving her. Maybe she was crazy and he's like, I'm out of here. And she started doing some crazy shit. Now, remember, he had two phones. So what does he do? He contacts the police. This broad's cuckooer than crazy. I've had to deal with many of these broads. They are crazy. Now, what's he do? He gives the phone to a cop. She's sending me photos of her naked, and now all of a sudden her daughter. What happens? Boom, she gets popped. I don't know, maybe he'll turn state's evidence against her. Right? She's loonier than a cooney bird. Look she's the one that sent this first. I didn't send nothing to her. So it's possible. Let's keep going. Let me see what Debbie's saying. He has those pictures, his phone. Yeah, well, they don't have no photos of him naked. They got plenty of her and the kid. So
the victim was a student of the teacher. We'll see families file lawsuits against a school district and do investigations in places where that teacher was employed. In this case, where you have the person who is accused and facing charges to be the mom of the victim, how does that work out? Who represents a child as young as this when the person who was allegedly abusing them was their own parent?
Yeah, so I can talk about that in great detail. So I'm a partner at Alstock, Wick, and Crease and Overholtz. We have a whole
Debbie Fox says, I don't want to hear nothing. These people are guilty. I agree. But she don't want to hear nothing about it. Not that they're innocent or anything. To her, they are guilty.
sex abuse division in our firm that is dedicated to nothing but representing survivors of sexual abuse, whether they're children or adults. In this particular case, you have to look at who are the parties who may have responsibility for it. Obviously, the mom and boyfriend have some responsibility. Whether the school had any knowledge of what was happening would be something to take a look at. From what I have seen, it's going to take more evidence probably than what has been in the public domain right now. I mean, all there have been are some fairly initial press releases about this. So there's not really any involvement about, there's not really any public information about whether the school had any knowledge of what she was willing to do at the request of a third party. So that's something that should probably be taken a look at. And I'm suspecting that's why the school district sent that letter out to all the families where she taught. The other thing is that's really problematic. And my firm has suits in the social media world. We have suits involving Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and some video game platforms where the platforms, the social media or the video game platforms are allowing these types of images to go through with almost no regulation. And there's artificial intelligence that's available. For instance, if the allegation that these pictures were transmitted or these images or videos were transmitted by Miss Jones? Yeah, Miss Jones.
Yep.
by Snapchat, there is AI capability of differentiating inappropriate images for young people. Doesn't always work, and it will depend largely on how detailed the image is, or how, if there's a face, or depending on which areas of the body. But platforms that are facilitating transmittal of child sexual assault material, or sometimes known as child porn, is a huge problem. And we're getting to the point where social media platforms really need to toe the line on doing a better job about policing this. So another avenue that could be looked at is there any liability on the part of any of the social media platforms that may have been used to transmit these horrific images?
When it comes to Snapchat, because that is an app that's been, we've just seen it in cases that was the way that people communicate. And a lot of people, to be fair to Snapchat, use Snapchat because they like it and it's a fair way to communicate on social media and all of that, very popular app. But one of the appeals to Snapchat is the images disappear. So when it comes to prosecuting a case, or even on the civil side of things, when someone is specifically using that app, and it's an app that the feature is the messages disappear, like, does that factor in at all to showing intent of someone to cover up what they were doing?
So that ultimately is a question for a jury, right? A jury will have to decide, did this person choose to use this platform because the images disappear? Probably almost all high school and middle school kids use Snapchat. And so is the use of that particular platform by just a regular young person that is communicating with their peers, is that indicative that they're trying to hide their conduct? I'm not sure. But in a case where you're specifically using that platform to transmit inappropriate, illegal sexual images, is that something that the person who is participating in that conduct taking into factor? Perhaps. And so that would be kind of a question for a jury, I suppose, to decide what was the person's intent of using that. Because, for instance, if they had just texted those images back and forth to one another, there would be a record unless somebody deleted it. But knowing that it's going to disappear, could that be a factor in determining the element of intent? Perhaps.
When it comes to a case like this, and you have
So that must be why everybody goes to Snapchat. Right? is because their stuff disappears. Weren't the Delphi killings or the photos of them uploaded? Didn't they have Snapchats? Wasn't it the Snapchat killer at the beginning of the case? And then they switched it to the Delphi. They might be doing that. I don't know. I don't even care if these people are using Snapchat and showing photos of adult naked or whatever, but when they start involving kids, that's a problem. Yeah, I would imagine something has. Like I said, if she would have just said, "No, I'll show you myself," not my kid, uh, perfectly normal stuff. But her doing now, my question is is she the one that showed her kid naked to him first, and then he told her he was having fantasies about her and her daughter, or did he bring it up to her to show the daughter first? Is my opinion, but which one is crazier? Kind of is what I'm asking. You know, that's what I'm asking. Who initiated that whole thing with the daughter? How can the guy not be? She looked like a beautiful lady. How could the guy not be happy with just a nude photo of her or her being sexy with him? Where does a 5-year old kid come into this? What is wrong with this world? If that ain't evil, I don't know what is, folks. I don't know what to tell you, folks. Right? It's not real. The devil ain't real. Well, whatever this is not good. I don't know how you want to category it. The devil, whatever. It ain't good. Yeah. Debbie Fox says, I don't care who did what first. They both are guilty. She's really stuck on that guilty sentence for both of them. I don't think she's going to budge on that one. I don't know.
Of someone who was accused, and though this didn't happen in a school, she was a substitute teacher. She had time around young people. And if a school district is going to be sued, and I don't know what this school district knew, what their, what their factors are when it comes to vetting people who are going to be substitutes in the school, but just in your work, because I think when you think of, oh, they knew, it was this brazen, someone deleting emails, and that was the way that they tried to cover it up. But in the real world, typically, what are some of the ways that school districts can be found liable when it comes to knowing things that may not be what people would expect with how these lawsuits play out?
Sure. So most school districts now archive all their content, right? So if there's emails that are coming through the school server or a school email, most of that stuff is archived. So even if a teacher or an employee deletes something, there's usually an archive of what's happened. So that's something that we always take a look at when there's a school type case. So the fact that a teacher deletes something doesn't mean that it actually goes away off of the server. It may go away on their computer or on their phone, but hopefully nowadays most.
Look at this lady. How do you beautiful women, Debbie, how do you get mixed up with these crazy men? Well, I should be asking us men too. How do we get mixed up with these crazy women? But how does a woman like this revert to doing sick stuff like that? I don't know. I wish we had all the answers, but it ain't normal, and it is something that we should not. Like I said before, I'll go in front of Congress and Senate and everyone. What a man and woman do between each other in their private lives, at home, on their phones, is legit to me. It's two grown adults. No one is making anyone do anything. But when the kid's involved, then we're in a different league, a demonic league. And over 500 times, that's a pattern. Uh, and you have to find out, was there any money in on this? Were they selling it to other people? Was he getting the photos and then sharing it with his sick friends? I mean, this is pretty sick, man. I'm done with all this stuff. I don't need to show any more vampires are real. I don't know how much more proof these people need. Evil is real. I don't know how much more proof. If this ain't proof that this world is messed up, then I don't know what. I can't please you people, so.
For the server, it may go away on their computer or on their phone, but hopefully nowadays most school systems are sophisticated enough to archive things so that there's a backup somewhere so they can have a paper trail. Those are things that we look at. We also look at, when we're investigating these types of cases involving schools, we look at the vetting process for the teachers or the employees that are hired. How deep did they dig to try to find out whether the person had any type of background which would preclude them from being around children? Did they have any criminal history they overlooked? Did they have any prior terminations from other jobs that they overlooked? Did they have any negative reports from references that they may have provided on their resume? And so those are the kind of things that you at least start looking at. And again, I want to say, from everything that I've seen in the press releases that have happened so far and the warrants that I have reviewed in this case, there's no allegation and there's no suspicion that the school in this case did anything wrong. It's just something that needs to be taken a look at to make sure that nothing happened at the school.
Yeah, and I see that the school district, according to some local news reports, they say that she has been fired as a substitute. So she wasn't a full-time teacher, wasn't a regular teacher, but she was a substitute. On that note, because we will see cases where people are put on paid administrative leave pending the outcome of an investigation. And then there's other school districts that just fire someone the second that they are arrested and charged in these types of cases. What is the difference? Like, why is it that some school districts will go that route of saying, well, we're going to let a jury decide to see if this person was guilty and they can be, on leave until then? Or like in this case, and I know that she's a substitute, that may factor into it, but they're saying like, no, she is fired. She's not going to come back here no matter what happens in this case moving forward.
What I have seen in prior cases, and I'm not saying one way is right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that in this particular case, there is a confession by the perpetrator. There is apparently video or documented hard evidence on phones. And so in that particular instance where there is zero question about what something is and what happened, then termination immediately is probably very, very appropriate and should be done. I have seen instances in the past where there is a swearing match between perhaps a teacher and a student. And let's say, for instance, you have it, and this is why some cases, get harder to analyze. Say you have a teacher who's been a teacher for 25 years. They have a great history. They have been a model teacher and have never had any complaints before. And then there's a student who maybe has some type of documented grievance with that teacher that they might be making an allegation against, but there's no evidence. What I think happens probably with the school district's decision-making tree is that if they have somebody who has otherwise got no prior indication,
that was another woman right there that you seen that wasn't loved properly by a man. Simple as that. A beautiful woman not loved properly or grown up wrong or something. I don't know. Or just completely crazy. We know there had to be money somewhere in this. They're not telling us, we know there has to be money involved in this somewhere, either on his end or she was getting paid, because how can she not see the wrong in that? She'd have to be completely demonic or crazy. Debbie says she did not protect her child. She failed. She is a huge loser. I would say so. I agree with you, Miss Fox.
There's no physical evidence and it's a swearing match between two people, sometimes you will see not an immediate termination, but put on an administrative leave while an investigation happens. The investigation happens either by the Department of Children, Family, and Families in the state and by the law enforcement agency that's investigating it. And then they'll make a decision when they get to the end of their investigation. And that may be more fair to a teacher who has no red flags and no hard evidence. Those are tough cases, right? Because I have seen cases where you have teachers of the year who have been model teachers and who have been exemplary, and they end up being pedophiles. And so, so I'm not saying just because somebody has been an exemplary teacher or somebody has been, a teacher for a long time with no complaints, that they're exempt from, from being a pedophile. But I do think that school districts tried to give the benefit of the doubt to people who have an otherwise clear background, and then hopefully make the right decision once the investigation is complete.
And we'll see what happens next. I mean, obviously, in this case, police say they have a confession. They have some very disturbing images, hundreds of them that they found on phones in this case as well. We'll see what happens next as far as the legal system is concerned. Chris Klotz, sexual abuse litigation attorney. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for talking about this case with us.
All right, Law and Crime. Check that channel out, ladies and gentlemen. Debbie, is there anything else? I think they're using the kinetic energy weapon right now on me, Debbie, somewhere around her. Because my headphones keep going out on the one side. I have the door open. Maybe that's letting the signal in. How do we stop this? Steel plating or wrap aluminum foil around the inside of your house. That'll stop the microwaves and stuff. If we also put up some steel plating, 1/8 inch thick, that also will stop the signal or microwave, radio wave that they're sending. Might block it. So that's what we're going to work on, because I keep getting interference here with my headphones. Maybe it's my brain chip. What year is it? I might have to get recalibrated, my brain chip. But anyways, Debbie, what are you thinking here? It's just too much. It is too much, Debbie Fox. I agree with you 100%. I can hear you good. Okay. On my headphones. They're probably using one of them new kinetic energy weapons on me. I do feel my brain feels kind of hot, so maybe it's possible. But I find it horrifying and gorifying that this is happening in our country. Now, Miss ATS News sent me some new footage that has come out on Jonathan Gerlach, of them inside of his shed, but I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's somebody that just is posting stuff. It looks like it's a Halloween setup or something, or a place to party, but it's I think it's a storage unit, but it might be a basement. I don't know. But it sounds like the people that are looking at this stuff are not professional. Like they're laughing and joking and stuff. I don't know. But it does show bodies leaned up against the walls. Stuffed torsos hanging from them. I don't know. We're going to take a look at it next. And then I might hear it and shortly here soon play some Xbox maybe. I'm not sure. Everything's just gone too crazy for me. I just, Lord, just send me a good woman, and I'm done with all this madness, right? Love, right? Indulge your love into a good woman and you just lock the world away. That's probably what I need. Of course, if I have to pay for one, that'll be fine too, but we'll take what we can get around here. Now let's continue with the next video. I'll end this one and we'll do another short one because it's a short video showing it. And I'll ask you folks if it's real in your opinions. Or is it just some kids making a quick video and putting it out to get, you know, maybe because one of them says something about a pacemaker, but it sounds like a teenager or something. And the way he says it is like jokingly, like, I don't know, but we're going to take a look at that video next. I will be back here shortly. I got to make some tea. So it'll be a few minutes and then I'll be back and we'll take a look at this video. And you folks can tell me if this stuff is real or just movie props. We don't know. All these people are innocent until they're proven guilty in the court of law. On this channel, I can't say they're 100% guilty. I can only voice my opinion, give my scenarios and my theories, whether they're guilty or not. But in the court of law, all these people are innocent until found guilty in the court of law. Now, I want all you folks to have a good night. Lock your doors and your windows. And if anyone comes knocking late at night and don't answer to who is it, just start pumping cold lead through the door. I'm sorry. Hey, this country has gone completely crazy. God bless. All glory goes to God. Lord, get us out of this one. This world's gone completely crazy, Lord. I don't know if you've been on vacation, Lord, but it's while you've been gone on vacation, this place has gone crazy. We're going to have to get it back in line, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Now we will be back shortly. I want to thank Debbie Fox for showing up. And even the trolls, Cold Steel Johnson and Stinky Winky Pinky and Vincent and all you guys. And thanks for stopping in, even though you're trolls. You're counted as one, at least, on this channel. Have a good night. God bless.